Hello, you gorgeous little pieces of wonderfulness. How are you doing? Today I'm talking about biases, and I'm talking about how easily we are fooled. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So before we start getting into all of our biases, or some of them, not all of them, the list is too long. I want to give you this sentence, and I want you to keep it in your mind as we go through this, and then we're going to return back to it. The sentence is this: our mind is not a video camera. It's a storyteller, and it tells stories by filtering reality to 1. Protect our identity, to 2. Keep us comfortable, and 3. Maintain our beliefs. So we'll come back to that, okay? So what are these biases and these filters that we have? Well, for years, I mean, since I started learning about affirmations, I discovered that the mind has a filter, and it's called the reticular activating system. I've talked about this before in videos, but it's only one word that I learned, this filter. And basically what it does, it only gives us what it believes to be interesting for us. Right? We're being bombarded by trillions of pieces of information. Somebody's got to chop that down to make it reasonable, and so the mind just filters it all. But it's learned to filter it in certain ways, in ways that is great, and in other ways that are terrible. And so let's just have a look at some of these filters and these biases that the mind has that distorts reality. Number 1, confirmation bias. We've all heard about it, confirmation bias. And what that is, in essence, is when we seek, interpret, or remember information that confirms what we already believe, and we ignore anything that goes against our beliefs. So it's kind of like it's memories, it's looking for things, it's finding information, all that confirms what we believe. Now, I was thinking about some sentences that work to show confirmation bias. Things like this, you know, when a group of people go in to study something, like, for example, that group of people that got together to write the book about the Twin Towers and why they fell, you know, the official one. And they tend to say sentences like this: and just as we expected, and just as we anticipated, this is what we expected, and bizarrely enough, that's what we found. It was just the heat of the fuel burning that melted all of that metal at that high level of degrees. And it was just a pancake effect. It's what we expected. Another sentence is, and there was nothing that we didn't expect to see. We saw nothing that we didn't expect to see. And that fits in beautifully with the, rather than I'll believe it when I see it, is I'll see it when I believe it. That's what the confirmation bias is. So we've got to be aware of that, haven't we? We've got to be aware of it, that all of the time. That's how the mind works. It links together things. It likes linking. Well, that is like this. It loves doing it, and it's a fast way of learning that we've got. But we've got to be careful. Number 2, authority bias. Somebody's there in a white coat. We even have white coat syndrome. Somebody's there in a white coat, a clipboard, and they say, just give them 250 volts. And you say, really? And they go, yes, trust me, I'm a doctor. Yeah, true story. Authority bias is where we're more likely to accept something, piece of information, directive, if it comes from somebody we perceive to have authority. Now, I think that the plan-stroke-demic has done a lot of damage to authority bias. I tell you what I've seen. So I've seen like societal authority falling flat on its face. Nobody trusts any fucker now. And also I've seen in the truther movement, because of the promises made that weren't fulfilled, all of those people have lost authority. So the authority bias that we used to have tremendously, and lots of people still have, here in Spain, like what the doctor tells you is what you do. You know, in many, not so much now, but before, very much so. However, I've seen a big nick being taken out of that, and it's ready to tumble. However, when somebody that we perceive to have authority, to have extra knowledge, to be very good at what they do, when they tell us something, we tend to believe them more. Without any basis, we just believe them more. So we've got to be careful of that. Bias number 3, social proof. Social proof is, and it's also called groupthink, it's massive, and it's more so now than ever because of social media. When you see a video that has 1 million views, 1.5 million views, 25 million subscribers, the social proof tells you that this is somebody that you probably should listen to. This is somebody that lots of people listen to. Social proof is where we conform. We go often against our own beliefs and we conform to the group beliefs so that we don't feel rejection or conflict. We don't like conflict and we don't like rejection. We have always been in groups for our own safety. You know, when it was tough out there, we had to be in a group, we had to take care of one another. Groups are very important to us. The baddies know that, and they use that all of the time, forming groups. But normally it's that group against another group. They always do a 50-50, opposite number, but they get us into groups. They like to get us into groups. Why? Because we conform. And on this channel, we've looked at, you know, people in lifts, getting in elevators, and everybody, all the actors, all turn around and face the back of the wall. The one person who's not the actor turns around and faces the wall as well. In waiting rooms where the bell rings and people stand up, and then the bell rings and they sit down, all actors, and the one person who's not an actor stands up and sits down. Social proof, groupthink, be very careful. Well, we're going to come to that. I'm going to do another video on all of this, but kind of like a resume of it, okay? So I won't spoil it. Bias number 4, normalcy bias. Normalcy bias is where we underestimate the possibility of something happening when it hasn't happened to us, okay? What's interesting about this is, the reason I mentioned it is because of the opposite number, which is the familiarity bias. When we have seen something a number of times, we trust it. We trust. It's like, yeah. And so we've got this normalcy bias, which is you could go to people and say, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Because we've done this loads, haven't we? This is going to happen. This is going to happen. People go, oh, I don't think so. Not in my lifetime. I've never seen that before. I don't think that would happen. That's not likely. And that's a bit of all the biases, all the blindness biases, plus the one, well, I haven't seen it before, so I don't expect it to happen. The thing is, with the familiarity bias, they do this all of the time. They put in films and other pieces of entertainment all the time these things that they want us to become familiar with until it becomes absolutely normalized. And even when you haven't picked up on it consciously, unconsciously it's there. And so when it happens, I mean, how many alien films have we seen? How many films have we seen about pandemics? Oodles, before the event, oodles. I'll give you an example. I'm watching a series called OA, Original Angel. Very interesting, very nice. And it's just this really like sci-fi or multi-dimensional thing that's going on. And then in the middle of the action, when they're waiting to connect to the other side, the boy, one of the boys in the group, goes on an app, like Tinder, I would guess, finds a man, right, connects with him, the man comes and picks him up, they go to his house, have sex, he comes back and the story continues. Why would the need to, what was the point of that? It had no bearing on the story, nothing. The story could have continued without that. Why did they do that? And why did it have to be two gay men? Yeah. Why? Well, because the more normal it becomes, the more normal it becomes. The more times we see it, the more we trust it as being normal. This is one of the biases. They use it all the time. Got to be careful with that one. Bias number 5, the sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy. And I'm going to link that with the backfire effect. The sunk cost fallacy is this. We continue to invest in something because of the time that we've already put into it. Money or whatever, energy, even if it no longer serves us. All right? Sunk cost fallacy. Man, this is the biggest. In my opinion, it's one of the biggest. This is one of the biggest reasons why people will not wake up no matter what you show them. Because they have so much invested in who they are, in their status, in their beliefs, in everything. They have so much invested that what you're showing them is going to bring all of that tumbling down, and it's too high of a cost. They've invested too much in that for them to allow you to come along and mess it up. And then add to that the backfire effect. The backfire effect is explained beautifully in the story of the Jehovah's Witnesses when in 1975 they said the world was going to end. Jehovah's Witnesses were selling their houses, they were leaving their jobs, they were getting bank loans that they knew they would never pay back because the end was coming. And in 1975 the end didn't come. And then we turned into 1970. I was there, I lived through it. 1976, everyone's going, and the end? And the end? And the society gaslit everybody and said, we never said that anyway. You took our words and you expanded our words. You exaggerated that. We never said that. We said maybe, perhaps, might, maybe, possibly. Okay? However, just because people had lost everything and lost face as well, they told loads of people. I've been in that situation not so long ago, telling people this is what's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and then you look like a twat. And so what you would expect is that all the Jehovah's Witnesses would leave, but no, they didn't. The vast fucking majority, my father included, became even more determined that the truth was the truth, that the witnesses had the truth, because of the sunk cost fallacy. My father had invested all of his life in it. And because of the backfire effect, which is, the backfire effect is, you were given some information that shows that everything that you believe is wrong, and it makes you believe it even more. How does that work? I fucking don't have a clue. But it does, it works. Not with everybody, lots of people left. But the vast majority stayed and said, you know, like Boxer in Animal Farm, when the pigs blew up the windmill for the second time, he just said, I will have to work harder. It was obvious something was happening, but he just said, I will have to work harder. That's what the witnesses said. We'll just have to be better witnesses and we might make the end come. So when information comes, and you know, I see this all of the time with Trump, right? And the people who are like the trumpets, the trumpets, who are following him all the time. And no matter what he does, they spin it so that it's all part of the plan. Doesn't matter what he could have a shit in the middle of Congress on the floor, and it would be part of the plan, and there would be gematria in the shit or something like that. You know, it's like that's this backfire effect. Something is weird, something happens, you go, well, that doesn't make any sense. And people go, yeah, it does actually, you know, because look, we'll go back in the queue posts. Trump has shit on Congress floor. You see? I just find that it's you know, I think they do protest too much. I don't think everything is so managed, you know? Anyway, that's just my take on it. So that's it. Sunk cost fallacy and the backfire effect. And is that all? No. The resilience, they're just some. There are zillions, endless. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of all of these things that stop us from being able to perceive reality. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, this is very important. I'm going to say this, and it's going to be very important. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, arguing about what you believe to be true is the biggest waste of time you could ever make. Because, not because you can't convince the other person because of all of their biases, no, because of the fact that we have so many biases that it's very likely that our beliefs are not really based on the truth. Okay? We've got too many biases going on. Hence the fact we come back to the original sentence, which is, our brain is not a camera. It's a storyteller which edits reality to protect what? Our identity. When you change beliefs, you have to change the belief in who you are, what you believe. And that's why it's such a big thing to change somebody's beliefs. Or at least it's perceived as big. It's not. It's very easy to do it. But you've got to give up all that you are. And that, your brain is designed, in fact, your whole being is designed to not do that. Let's not lose who are we? I remember when the universe took everything off me. That was one question I had, which is, I don't know who I am anymore. And that was quite a lonely place to be, quite an empty, dark place to be. I don't know who I am. Who am I? Right? Our job, our brain's job is not to let us get there. By all means, it's designed to keep us comfortable. When somebody is giving us information that goes against everything we believe, it's incredibly uncomfortable. And the alarm bells are going up, going, discomfort, get away, push that person away, get angry. Get angry and tell them to fuck off. Tell them that they don't know what they are and who they are and they don't know what they're talking about and they're stupid. Do anything so that you're comfortable again. And it's designed to protect our beliefs. When we have beliefs, we must not lose them. These beliefs that are set in stone, they're not the wibbly wobbly, wishy washy, they can be changed. But our brain's job is to protect them. Don't let all and sundry change our beliefs. No way, man. Get thee out of my face. That's what we say. When somebody says, do you think I could just possibly give you a new belief? Fuck off. Go forth and multiply, we say. Don't come here with your new beliefs and your newfangled stuff talking to me about what I have to change. No way. And that's what we do. They are our biases. But once we know them, well, I'm going to talk in the next video about how does this help us? Knowing that oh my God, we're so easily influenced. How does it help us? Well, I'll tell you all about that beyond. Do you know of any of the biases that you like, that you think, oh wowzer? Mention them in the comments, please. I love you all and I'll speak to you all later.